Hey everybody, welcome to the Beehive Sports Podcast. This week's episode powered by Swing Juice. Visit swingjuice.com. Use promo code Beehive20 for 20% off your golf and MLB PA apparel. This week we got the draft contest. We'll announce the winner to that, which we already did on the page. Some more local shout outs. So we're trying to do some of those each week. NFL draft highlights. And another NIL story, this one going to be told by Sketty, and it's got some interesting twists to it down in my University of Miami. And this week in sports history, we're going to talk about actually some history that was just made on Sunday, which was yesterday by my count. We're going to go over, and it has to do with college baseball. Some people might have heard of it already, but we're going to dive into that a little bit. Sketty on, Sean McVay. Always the Rams. Something about the Rams. Things that sting. We have our first local Things That Sting story. So we'll get into that. That'll be the very first one up on the Things That Sting. Get into the Trevor Bauer suspension, Wisconsin track team, and James Madison softball team suffer a major loss. Each of those programs. Sage Steele is suing ESPN. There are so many in the Things That Sting this week. I usually do 3 main and then rundown. We're doing 4 this week, and then the rundown to follow, which has about 6 stories in there. And then in my hive, we are going to get into our Sketty and I's love-hate. We're going to go back and forth. The draft, who we loved, who we hated. Let's go.
Welcome to the Beehive Sports Podcast. Here are your hosts, Joe and Sketty.
This week's opening buzz brought to you by Busch Light. Latte aluminum's available wherever you purchase your beer. Darren already hanging with us in the comments. No sleeves. Let's fucking go. I like it. It's summertime, Darren. Not if you go outside, but in my brain it is anyways. All right. Still recovering from the weekend. Diaper party successful. Liver not feeling successful so much. I was okay today. How were you Sunday?
I was fine. I got there late and didn't really drink that much, but it appeared that most of the party did the drinking for me. Like no one missed anything. It was pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
There was a lot going on. Oh, and Hunter, actually, I forgot to share that because I had a crazy weekend, so I really wasn't on the Facebook page too much doing a whole lot. But Hunter did fulfill his end of the bet. With wearing the Bills jersey. He had a Josh Allen jersey on, allegedly out in public at Huey's, I think they said, down in Youngsville. So good. And I will share that photo. I got to do that yet just to, prove to everybody, because we did make the bet, and that was back during fan rant time, which seems like forever ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. Draft contests. We'll get into that. Eli Ekinen, who's my coworker, brand new coworker, I should say, just crushed it. Go ahead.
I've got beef with his picks because I can't figure out how he was smart enough to nail the first 4 picks, see what was there at 5, and think that they were going to take Neal instead of taking Thibodeau there.
I would have.
I don't know how he
I didn't think Dable would go defense with his first pick.
As soon as it went to pick 4, I don't know. It must not have been you. It must have been Munch I was texting. But I'm like, this is obviously Thibodeau, because then you're going to get Ekwonu or Neal at 7. Like, it fell absolutely perfect to him.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So their hand wasn't forced. Yeah, their hand wasn't forced to take. Yeah.
Yeah, Kylie actually had texted me a tweet from somebody who said, like, when it fell to them like that, that's exactly how they felt. They were like, well, we're going to get one of the two tackles, so let's take Thibodeau, not risk missing him, and we'll take whoever's left. But I mean, I guess he did nail that Neal was going to be a Giant, so
yeah, that's true.
He should get a half a point for that. But yeah, I was surprised when it fell.
So it came down to him and one other group of picks. Somebody had 3 correct, and they had Cross at 5, and he had Neal. So if it would have been Cross by chance, then they would have tied, and it would have came into the tiebreaker, which there was 9 trades, I think, in the first round is what it total ended up being.
Yeah. Yep.
That's fucking wild. So we'll get into that in the highlights. I wrote down some little fun facts about the draft when we get to the draft highlights. But congrats, Eli. That was I was really hoping he'd go 5 for 5. I just thought that would.
When you told me 4 for 4, I was just like, "Holy shit! How do you get Stingley at 3?"
I know it was wild.
That was just a shocker of a pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And pick, I think I told you only one other person had Stingley going 3rd.
Yeah. Yep. But you did. Yeah.
There was so much, like 13 out of 21 entries had Walker.
Yep.
So pretty much all of them, I think, except for like 2 or 3 had Hutchinson going 2. So it was like it was tight knit for a minute, and then it just spiraled out of control, and Eli just kept going successfully. I was like, geez. So congrats to him. I actually am taking his gifts to work tomorrow to drop off into his truck before I go in for my shift. So congrats, Eli. Well done. Local shout outs. I was thinking about this today. You don't like beef up Eisenhower enough, I feel like.
I don't follow local sports close enough. Like, I just don't.
Well, I don't. I mean, I'm not like there, but I just try and read about it. Like, I go to Your Daily Local. I read. I don't go to a lot of events. I'd like to go to more.
Well, I'm saying, like, I don't even do that anymore. Like, I hardly read the paper. Like, if I see something, like, usually
you shouldn't read the paper. You shouldn't read the paper. You should read Your Daily Local.
It's usually I'll see him share something. Hagberg will share something on there, and like that's where I get my little bit of local sport information.
Well, let me tell you what happened on Thursday. I think it was last Thursday. It was the all Warren County track meet that they do every year.
Okay.
And Warren dominated, which I don't think it always goes that way, but maybe it does.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
It was like 130. Both boys and girls got 130 some points. Second place was in the 40s.
No kidding.
So again, you and I have discussed this before. That's a blowout in track, right?
I think so.
I don't know.
I believe so. I don't know.
All I know is that boys and girls, they won every race. They didn't win everything in the field, but everything on the track they won. But it just dawned on me that because I like Ike. I will talk. Yeah. I'm an Eisenhower fan because Jason, cousin Jason went there. So I have some ties into the school. I never went to the school, but like a lot of friends who went there. You're okay, You're an okay. You're an okay guy.
Average. Yeah.
And I'd root for Eisenhower a little bit. So I was just thinking about that. We need to start giving more love to Eisenhower.
Correct.
We're gonna have Mangini. We'll have Mangini on, and that'll kick off our support of Eisenhower. We're gonna do that. More local shout outs. Warren girls softball. Kind of keeping an eye on them. Won again this past weekend. Well, actually, I think it was Thursday. I got my days mixed up with some of this stuff, but they shut out Fort LaBeouf, stayed unbeaten, and then Saturday fell in a 10-inning game to Villa, which is who they walked off in the season opener. So they're now 1-1 against Villa. They both have each have one loss in the region, and it's to each other. So that's probably a matchup that we'll see again, I would assume. Isn't that, that's how that stuff works. But they're good. They got a good softball team. So we're going to keep an eye on them for sure. Cause they, have a shot to advance pretty far. Got a good coach, some good players. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Special shout out. I've been watching this one on his dad's Facebook posts. Ty Bryan, so son of Nick and Mindy.
Okay.
Ty went, so he plays for the Moose Lodge Boys Minors. It's 9 and 10-year-old boys, so they're pitching, hitting. It's no coach pitch or anything like that. He went on a pitching streak over 2 games. So 4 innings in the first game, 3 innings in the second game, 21 straight batters, 21 straight strikeouts.
That's pretty good.
That's damn good.
That's pretty good.
So I was watching that. I'm like, man, I gotta say something about Ty, because him and Brock are both good athletes. They're gonna, we'll be watching them as they progress through Warren Sports, as long as they stick around and everything. But saw that, it was just super impressive. He's a really nice kid too. So I'll be keeping an eye on that too. And I think maybe once that season winds down, I'm sure he then gets into travel ball or something. But we'll try and snag him and get him on for a little interview. If he'll do it, he's a little shy. Not, but I think we could talk him into it. He'll answer some questions. But okay. Yeah, he's a good ball player. We'll get him on. He can talk about that. That's impressive. 21 faced, 21 sat down.
That's pretty good.
Keep it up, Ty.
Pretty good.
All right, we're going to slide into NFL draft highlights. So we're not going to get into too much detail in this, because in my hives, when we're going to get into love-hate of the teams, how we think teams did, we're just going to discuss a few things, a few of the highlights. As I said, 9 first-round draft day trades. It's the most since they expanded to 3 days since it became a 3-day draft. 2010, 9 first-round draft day trades. It was crazy.
From like picks 10 to early 20s. It was just like there was like 3 straight trades at one point. Like I think 11, 12, and 13 maybe. Like it was wild.
Yeah, it was. Somebody be on the clock. I'd like you had to almost zone into it the entire time.
Yep.
If you looked away, somebody else was on the clock. You thought you missed a pick, but it was actually a trade. First time, no running back or tight end drafted in the first round. 9 teams ended up with multiple first-round picks.
Yeah.
So people are unloading. They're unloading, and this is I think it's a little bit of like a Les Snead effect. People were moving around. They're unloading picks. Fuck them picks. That's what Les says.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd quite say it's that effect. I thought there was a lot here where there were guys who were contracts were coming up. A lot of it, again, we saw the A.J. Brown trade. We saw the Hollywood Brown trade, where it was just like, hey, fuck it. We're not even going to attempt to pay these guys. We'll just go out and get a receiver in the draft, which has kind of been the theme of this year. Like, that wide receiver market's crazy. There's been more good young wide receivers coming into the league ready to play.
Definitely.
So, I think we saw a lot of that taking effect. It was
I'd
crazy.
agree with that.
It was wild to see. It was wild to see.
So that nine teams having multiple firsts is the most in the common draft era also.
Yep.
Georgia sets a record.
I can't believe that. Like that just shocks me.
15 players. So the previous record was 14, done by 2 teams, 2 colleges in 2 separate years. Ohio State in 2004 had 14. LSU in 2020, the Joe Burrow class, they had 14 guys selected, but Georgia was just all over the place.
And the best player on the defense didn't get drafted till almost the 4th round. Like it was just
that'd be
wild to me. Nakobe
Dean, yeah. So I have some notes on him for later, but he did definitely slipped like real far. Yep. And I remember just about every pick that came up, you were like, they're going for Dean. He texted me, here goes Dean. It got to the point where I thought, okay, in the 2nd round, like he's going to go, like this is going to be one of those things where he takes a little tumble down the board. But then it got to a point where it's like, okay, how many teams have guys better than this guy? Like if you need linebacker help, this dude would appear to be the man. Like I know he's got a little bit of an injury problem and, the combine numbers weren't great, but like normally NFL people see past that shit and they're just like, okay, this guy can actually like play football, which is what we pay him to do. Like we don't pay him to go out there and run the 40. We don't pay him to bench press. We don't pay him to get on the scale.
like play football. I just can't believe he fell as far as he did. Like I thought for sure someone was going to snag him up and get a steal, and eventually the Eagles did.
Well,
and that's we'll get into that.
Yeah, the notes I have for later say that he's questionable for 2022. I mean, he might not play his first season.
Yeah, they say that the big knock was that he had a pec strain of some sort. He chose not to get surgery. Teams felt that he should get surgery, so we'll see what happens there. But even if he sits out a year, I mean, he got to a point where, like, you're end of the second round, mid-second round. Even if he sits out a year, who gives a shit? When he gets healthy, he's going to be a stud for you. Like, you got a first-round talent in the middle of the second. So that was one of the crazier ones. That and the quarterbacks, I think, were the big draft story. Other than the Steelers just completely reaching, Riddler didn't go off the board till 74, I think, like 54 picks after Pickett went.
Atlanta.
There was no quarterback taken. Yeah, there was no quarterback taken in the second round. One quarterback. They said I think that was a record for X amount of years too. One quarterback to go in the first 2 rounds. So it was just wild. It was kind of crazy to see how it transpired.
What's your thoughts on, because I know we won't be talking about either of our teams, so that was kind of the plan tonight. Your thoughts on the Niners draft?
Well, obviously it didn't make my top 5 and it didn't make my bottom 5. I really thought, the pick of Drake Jackson, I didn't think was terrible. We need defensive line help or depth. Hopefully draft this guy and he can end up being a starter for us. Really questionable with the running back, though, that Ty Davis-Price. Like, I saw that he was some guy's 17th overall running back, and they took him in the 3rd round. Didn't really get that. They say he's kind of a hard runner, bruising running back. Kind of tells me they don't have faith in Sermon. They like to carry a lot of running backs, so I get it. But I just didn't see. I didn't think he's the guy. I wasn't very happy with that pick. Then apparently this receiver, Danny Gray out of SMU, he's a burner. Give us a little speed. The Niners need a 3rd receiver. After Debo, who didn't get traded, fan base out there who was telling us that Debo is going to be traded. He's still on the team. Just in case you guys missed that. You want to start backtracking
yet, my friend.
Well, I'm just saying, just in case you want to start getting ready to backtrack.
I'm not backtracking.
Still on the team.
Actually, he's still on the team for now.
Well, I know. Yeah, well, if people are going to offer, the Jets offer was actually fucking insulting. Absolutely insulting for Debo.
What was it?
They offered 10 and I think it was 10 and a 5th round pick for Debo and the 49ers 2nd round pick. I'm like, if I was John Lynch, I wouldn't even said no. I'd just hung up the phone. Said, you got to be shitting me, right?
They should probably mail the Jets front office a bag of gummy dicks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, come on, man. Like, but anyway.
Well, maybe. Hey, hold on though. You're the one who always says that the Niners lowball. They lowball. Maybe that's what the Jets were doing. Maybe they were trying, a little.
That's one thing to open up.
Give us a counter.
But on draft night, when there's only 10 minutes to make the pick, there ain't a lot of time to lowball. The time for lowballing was over. But they actually on day 3 they kind of went and got some guys, filled some needs on the offensive line, couple of defensive backs, one to D tackle. I think they did pretty good there. Lynch is pretty strong in the later rounds of the draft. It doesn't do so well at the top of the draft, but you get in those day 2, day 3 picks, they usually hit on them. So I feel okay. Don't hate it, don't love it. But it was an okay draft. They did what they had to do.
Yeah, it's about where I'm at with Buffalo. I mean, they were graded, around like a B+ in most places. Mm-hmm. Some A- in different, just depends on where you're looking. But Elam, I love that pick. Sean McDermott has a history of developing cornerbacks. I think we probably talked about this last week because that was what I wanted them to go was corner.
Yep.
I did fear they were going to take running back in the first round. I'm glad they didn't.
Yep.
But they get Elam, and I think that he'll complement. I think he's going to be an immediate starter, obviously, and they'll have McDermott developing him as well as Trey White working with him. I only have one Florida Gator connection, and that's my buddy Rich, who lives down in Florida, went to University of Florida. and big Gator fan. So I was texting him, asking him, a little bit more about him. And he just said, great team guy. Just kind of always putting the right foot forward, doesn't really do anything stupid. And that's kind of all I can ask for. James Cook, I like the pick, but boy, his little party video he was having, he was like, I don't know what he was doing, but it didn't look like it's going to end up too promising. Hopefully I'm wrong, but there was like a domestic dispute going on in his video. When they first panned him, he's like screaming at somebody. I don't know who, but he clarified something with somebody and was like, because they were like, you look mad. And he was like, yeah, I was mad. My cousin or somebody was being stupid. I don't know. But, I think, they're always looking for a back who can get out of the backfield and catch the ball. That's the guy. That's one of his highlight specialties is catching the ball out of the backfield. So if he's 83% of what Dalvin is, it's an upgrade for what they have at running back right now. But so we'll see how that works out. Bernard, excuse me. Bernard, I was actually quietly pleased with because I've been watching a lot about him and I think he has like a legitimate shot to make the team. And I basically anybody beyond corner and running back, I was kind of like, it's tough to say, but two veterans he has to beat out, Andre Smith and Tyrell Dodson. It shouldn't be too hard for him. And I guess apparently he's been getting a lot of comparisons to Matt Milano, possibly his understudy. So that could be a good thing. We'll see how that shakes out. Grabbed another receiver, Boise State's top receiver. They grabbed Khalil Shakir and then Punt God, which that'll be the only and last time I call him that because apparently he hates it.
He drops fucking bombs though.
Dude, he does.
Like, I was watching tape and I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, he had like 3 punts over 80 yards last year.
He can boot it. He can boot it. Yeah.
So and I don't know if I actually can't even remember what game it was. I want to say it was the Jets week 17. I would need another Bills fan to clarify that one real quick. But Matt Hawk was just awful. Like, I'm talking 20, 25-yard punts, like 2 in a row, 3 in a row, something like that, to the point where I think McDermott was like, fuck it, we'll go for it. Like, I don't know. 4th and 15, we got a better shot of making up some ground on offense than we do with him punting. So I don't think it's going to be hard. Go ahead.
It looked like he could cover punts too. Like, it looked like they showed like highlights him running down the field.
Fucking mowing people over.
Rarely will you hear me say I like drafting a punter, but man, this guy looks pretty good.
I'm anxious.
I like the for the team. Yeah,
I haven't heard yet what McAfee's said about him, but I'm looking forward to that because he's going to discuss this kid. So I really want to. If he hasn't yet, I'm sure he's going to. But if he has, I haven't heard it yet. But I would love to hear his take on Matt Ariza because the dude can. One worry, but this is another thing that ties into Pat McAfee. Ariza's never been a placeholder.
Oh, okay.
So that could be a problem.
Yep.
But McAfee was never a placeholder, lied to Jim Irsay. There's an interview he did with Rich Eisen where he talks about how Jim Irsay's like, so you can placehold, right? And he's like, fuck yeah, I can placehold. Of course I can. He never had in his life. So when he went to training camp, Vinatieri took him out and they like worked on it for like hours and hours and hours. I don't foresee that to be an issue. I mean, he's a pretty good athlete. I don't think it's too hard to figure out how to place hold, but who the fuck knows? I don't know. Maybe it will be a problem. But yeah, I mean, in general, I thought it was pretty solid draft. They addressed the needs, which is what I wanted. I wanted them to go corner initially, and they did. So I was happy about that, but time will tell. I think it's a pretty deep roster. So again, I told you that I think it's going to be like some of the late round guys, aside from the punter. I wouldn't imagine too many of them are going to make the roster, if any. So that's we'll get into more on the draft in my hive. We're going to do love hate, where we talk about we're each going to name 5 teams we love, 5 teams we hate for the picks that they took. But last, to wrap up the buzz, Isaiah Wong and his NIL dispute.
Yeah, so actually this whole thing resolved. I had no idea until I looked it up tonight. But
It
at
got
some
resolved?
point in time yes, it's resolved,
Okay.
which I'll cover. But so I don't remember what day it was last week that I texted you. I saw this, that Isaiah Wong plays for Miami, guard, kind of led the team to the Elite Eight. I think he averaged like 15 points a game, which was first or second on the team. His agent came out and said that if he doesn't make more money in the NIL, he's out. He's entering the transfer portal. He's going to stay in the draft process, but he's not coming back to Miami. Now, I couldn't find any numbers on what this kid's making, but John Ruiz, the CEO of Life Wallet, who signed him to his NIL deal, said that, we've compensated him fairly. We're not going to change what we're paying him. He's making pretty good money. Now, what kicked this whole thing off, though, is that Ruiz just signed, I believe it's Nigel Pack. He's a number one transfer from Kansas State. Just got him to come to Miami and gave this kid $800,000 over 2 years plus a car. So that's pretty good money to come play basketball at the University of Miami. But Wong, not happy with it, apparently, said he was going to leave. However, he came out. It was, I don't know when he came out, sometime over the weekend, and said, no, I'm not entering the transfer portal. I'm going to stay with Miami if I don't get drafted. Apparently, he's going through the draft process. Kind of sounds like he doesn't think he's going to get drafted, but he's going to keep his eligibility. So anyway, long story short, and this is a big nothing story other than I texted you that this is kind of messed up, and what people fear about the NIL. It's against the law in Florida for a school to be involved in any NIL dealing. So, his agent even said, we're not talking to the school. Like, this wasn't them trying to strong arm the school into giving them more money. It was trying to strong arm this obvious booster into giving them more money. I think the problem I see with this is the way the transfer rules are now, where you can just leave and go play immediately someplace. Like, this is just the start of the can of worms that's about to be opened. Like, this is going to be a big, big problem going forward. And I think NCAA needs to look back and say, we're not going to let you transfer freely anymore because you can make money, and we're not going to get into this bidding war bullshit that's all over, so.
Well, this is what we've talked about a dozen times, that it's turning into free agency. It's literally what it is. Every how's the education aspect going for all of this? That's what I'd like to know.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm sure real well.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And I mean, this kid, it sounds like he's going to play pro ball at some point, some level, maybe Europe, whatever. He's going to play some pro ball, but that's rough. That's rough when you get into this and you start saying, hey, I know I signed up for this agreement, but I'm outperforming it. I want more money. Like,
and part of it had to do with his family, right?
Schools. I didn't see anything about his family. No,
I thought that's what it said in the initial article that you sent me, though. It said that, like, he wants more compensation for him and his family.
Well, it could be. It could be a family thing.
That's where I was like, they aren't paying your family; they're paying you.
Yeah,
and this is like we said, the problem that the NIL is gonna now they're making careers out of it, and it's not.
Yep.
It's becoming not and I guess what I'm trying to say is if Isaiah Wong doesn't go on, like, falls off the face of the earth, these NILs, like, is he banking all this money? Is he counting on it to live for a while before he can find something else, maybe finish school if that's his plan?
Yep.
Because if they fall off once they get to a different level, like, the NIL goes away. It's not going to, I don't think, follow you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But because you're just going to become that guy who used to be good at Miami. Like, that's who you're going to be known as, not anything more. That's time will march on. New players will arrive, and you're going to be a name in the rafters if you're lucky. So I don't know. Yep. I'm really excited to continue watching the NIL and just watch the meltdown that's coming with it. It's terrible. And the thing is we agree with the main point of it is that these kids should be compensated something for the time they're putting in. I mean, they rarely can they get a job and make money while they're at school, like other students have the ability to do. So I'm fine with that. But now it's turning into a fest, and it's just going to continue to get worse as time goes. Ron in the comments says it totally is free agency, and colleges never cared about education for the athletes. Well, but some of the athletes do, but the ones who are doing this jump from school to school to school, I mean, I don't know much about how credits transfer and all of that. I know that happens. Like, I understand that that's a thing, but it's just, to me, is like, at what point do you actually have any type of education from what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, what's your major? Is you're taking classes here, classes there. Just seems like a lot. All right, that's going to wrap up the opening buzz. Brought to you by Busch Light. Be a good Northwestern Pennsylvanian and drink Busch Light just like the rest of us. Because if it seems like if you go anywhere outside of this realm, you're kind of laughed at. If you even attempt to order at places, they look at you like you have three heads. I get offended by that, and I don't get offended by a whole lot of shit. That's one of them. Take a break. We'll be right back.
Whenever you crack open a Busch Light, the mountain starts singing.
It's cold and it's smooth and it's waiting for you.
What is going on?
Hit it, Giant Kenny G.
It's so smooth.
Head for the mountains of Busch Light beer.
Hi, this is Brian Hagberg, and I wanted to take a moment and tell you about our new website, yourdailylocal.com. Your Daily Local is your new home for news, sports, and events in Warren County and beyond. Our goal is to cover the people, places, events, and happenings that matter to you in a variety of ways, including writing, video, and audio. And the best part? All of our content is available for free. Head to yourdailylocal.com to get the news you need when you need it.
Let's take a look back at this week in sports history.
This week in sports history brought to you by Your Daily Local. Visit yourdailylocal.com for the news you need when you need it. Totally cut you off. Super rude of me.
I was gonna say, someone at the country club asked me if I knew that the country club had, something other than Busch Light. And I said, yeah, I'm aware. I don't understand why, because I don't know who the hell drinks that other shit. But, here we are.
Did you educate them? Did they try one?
Educated. They were trying to take a shot, and I had to throw the shot right back. Nope, that's all we need. Just Busch Light. That should be the only beer we serve.
Ron in Wisconsin says, you can drink Busch Light here. They'll be glad to clear it out of their coolers. We would be glad to help.
Gladly volunteer.
I thought they were a beer drinking state, right? They should know. Should know good beer. Miller,
yeah, absolutely.
You go ahead and pay the extra $5 for something that doesn't even taste as good, Ron. Look, cousin Logan says my roommate said he's listening with me because you're sponsored by his favorite beer. See, South Carolina, Busch Light's
smart man.
Yeah, it's worldwide. Good stuff. All right, so this week on sports history. Usually we go way back in time, or maybe even not too far back, but we're going literally back to yesterday.
Okay.
The fastest pitch of all time in college baseball was recorded, and this is insane. So Tennessee Vols pitcher Ben Joyce hits 105.5 miles per hour on a fastball, but get this, 3 pitches at 105 or better, 15 pitches at 104 or better, 28 at 103 or better, which means, so, you do the math here. Of his 33 fastballs he threw in 4 innings of scoreless work, 1 hit, 6 Ks. Of 33 fastballs he threw, 28 were at 103 miles an hour or higher.
Okay, well, so, all right, let's hold on a second here. Either that radar gun is broke, where someone needs to sit down and explain to me why the fuck this guy isn't in the major leagues.
He's in college.
I don't get it. Why is he in college? If he's throwing 105, why is he in college?
I don't think he will be for long. Either one of those two things he won't be doing for long: pitching in college or pitching over a 105-mile-an-hour fastball because his arm's gonna fucking fall off. But yeah, so he's relief pitcher. So here's some conflicting reports. I looked through as many as I could find on this shit. Credited as the fastest pitch ever recorded in some places, because I saw two different speeds for September 24th, 2010. Aroldis Chapman, pitching as a rookie for the Reds, comes out of the bullpen and hits 105.1. But then in another article, it was 105.8. And then in a third article, they just rounded up and it was 106. So I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know where we're at as far as the pros go. But in college, he had broken his own record when he was at like 103, 104, 105. He just kept breaking his own record. This is the crazy thing here, though. A 91-mile-an-hour changeup. So he's same motion, bringing 12 miles an hour, 13, 14, whatever it might be, off of his fastball. He's going to make some people look fucking silly with that, especially 18, 19-year-old college kids,
Yes.
So now other unconfirmed reports that I saw as far as Major League Baseball goes. Nolan Ryan reportedly hit 108 once, but they said radar guns weren't as reliable back then. And Bob Feller, same thing at 107 miles an hour. So I don't can't confirm if if it's the fastest pitch ever recorded. Some places said it definitely was. Other places are saying no, it's not. And then other places are like, well, this is what happened with Nolan Ryan, but we'll never know. But 33 fastballs of 103 or higher, or 28 of 33 fastballs 103 or higher is pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, I would say so.
Couple comments on that. Hunter, he's going to need Tommy John by 25. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think he's going to need.
That's optimistic.
Yeah.
25 is optimistic. Yeah.
Giving him a few years. But yeah, that's it for sports history. I saw that, the stat, of course, of his 105-mile-an-hour fastball, and I figured it's history. He made history, so good enough. Anything to add to any of that besides the fact that we think this guy's like going to only have he's going to have one operating arm here before tue long?
Yeah, like before this weekend.
Maybe I see if he's got Twitter. Maybe he'll come on and talk about it. I mean, he's a college pitcher, right? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe he'd come on. I'll give it a shot. I'll give that a shot. Of course, next week, though, we do have Moon coming on to talk about his draft day experience. I wanted to do it tonight, but he's on a plane again. Go? Yeah, he went to the draft.
Oh, God.
So he's coming on next week.
What?
But
why did he go to the draft? Just want to stand there for 4 days while the draft was going on and then be like, oh, hey, the Rams picked on Saturday.
He won a Bud Light thing, like a Bud Light package.
No, I'm just saying it's got to be boring as a Rams fan. Just stand there and go, yeah.
That's who everybody else got.
We'll wait till the very last thing on Friday night for a pick and then come back Saturday morning. It's going to be a great time.
All right. This week in sports history brought to you by Your Daily Local. Visit yourdailylocal.com for the news you need when you need it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Sketty on.
Hey there, everyone. This is Phil with JP Photography. I know. A photography ad on a sports show? I get it. You're here for sports talk and listening to Joe and Sketty's insane rambling.
Wait, what?
But bear with me for a few. I just want to tell you that JP Photography not only offers wedding photography, but also does events, engagements, headshots, family photos, and even some product photography. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for JP Photography or go directly to our website at johnphilphotography.com. That's JONPHIL photography.com.
He's absolute trash.
Sketty on. Let's have a listen to what Sketty's on this week.
0% chance that works.
Welcome back to Sketty on. Curious to hear this one because it might be the first one that I've disagreed with, but we'll find out. I'm gonna hear you out because I got to be fair and impartial. But let me cue your music here, and then we'll get the Sean McVay rant going.
Okay, so for those of you out there who haven't seen it, I suggest looking it up. But there's a clip after the Patriots select Cole Strong. Was that his name? Can you correct me on that?
Strange.
Offensive line.
Strange.
Cole Strange. Okay, something's close to it. Cole Strange. Okay, offensive lineman. So the Patriots make this pick. I believe they traded back up for it. Traded back up to 29 to get him. Either way, not super important. But there's a clip of McVay reacting real time to this pick, and he's kind of like laughing, saying, "Oh, we thought he'd be there at 104 when we picked," or whatever fucking their first pick was, somewhere in the hundreds. What a fucking jackass this guy is. How is a guy who's been with the team for 5 fucking years and has never, not one time, 0 first-round draft picks in the 5 years he's been there? 0. I think he's only got like maybe 3 second-round picks. How are you going to make fun of what anybody does in the first round? You don't know what it's like, Sean. You've never had to fucking do it. You just hopefully trade everything away, and hopefully you run into a broken-arm Jimmy G and Zach Taylor who just wants to pass the ball despite his run game working so you could fucking win a Super Bowl. You got lucky to win one. You're making fun of the coach who, when you got to your other Super Bowl, you scored 3 points against with your number one offense. You can't make fun of that guy ever. Ever, Sean. Ever. Looks like a fucking clown. Just his face when he did it too. I don't like Sean McVay. This whole clip made me hate Sean McVay. Hate him. Literally anybody besides James and Moon right now cannot name 10 Sean McVay draft picks over the last 5 years that he's been there. No one on the planet can do it. I looked the whole list up. I recognize about 6 names. 6 names. Cooper Kupp being one of them. And then after that, the drop-off is straight down the hill. Van Jefferson, Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson. What the hell is the Johnson guy that's in Cleveland now, the safety? John Johnson, maybe?
Yeah.
John Johnson. And then the 6th one, I'll throw in Samson Ubakam, who's a 49er now, which is the only reason I know that. He's never done shit in the draft ever in his life. He just trades for players. Don't make fun of what the best coach ever does. You look like a fucking clown. I can't wait to watch the Rams just suck for the next fucking 15 years. It's going to be great. Hopefully McVay just retires in 2 like he wanted to this year, and we never have to see this asshole again. Clown.
All right. So you actually brought up some points that I do agree with in the whole scheme of like he shouldn't trash other people's moves in the first round.
Yeah, he's never had to do it. Literally, I was actually shocked.
So where I thought you were an angle I thought you might take with this is another angle that I saw a lot of people online doing was they were like, that was super disrespectful to Cole Strange. And I disagree with that.
That's very true too. I didn't even think of that. Well,
see, I disagree with that. I don't think it's disrespectful to Cole Strange. If you literally look at like other NFL executives' opinion on what McVay said, they were like, well, he's actually kind of right. Like nobody really thought Cole Strange was going to go in the first round. And Belichick felt strongly, and I saw this too, that he wasn't going to be there much longer. So he wanted to grab him while he could grab him. And maybe it was too high. Maybe it was a reach. That's neither here nor there really. But as far as this video goes, but I do agree. McVay shouldn't sit there and criticize what people do in the first round. Didn't he take Goff though? Did he not draft? Was he not there for the Goff draft? He was the year before.
That was 2016. 2017, he became the head coach. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the next year. Cooper Kupp was actually his first pick, which, I mean, Cooper Kupp's got 1 amazing season under his belt, and he's got, 4 good seasons under his belt. Like, it's not like Cooper Kupp's a surefire Hall of Famer or something great.
No, but he's good. I would say it's a good pick, though. It's a good pick.
Great value in the third round. It was a good pick, but like that's by far your best pick. Like I said, Van Jefferson, Cam Akers, Daryl Henderson, like John Johnson's probably is actually his second best pick ever.
Yeah,
like,
I would agree with that.
And after really that, like there's not a lot that like he hasn't done much by way of drafting and developing. And as far as like you're saying with Belichick going and getting Strange there, I'm a believer in if a guy is good and he can play, fuck what all these analysts say and like, oh well, he's a third round pick. What'd you take him in the first four? Like, we'll find out in 3 to 4 years if he was worth it or not.
Right.
No one knows right now.
You're
if
right.
You like your guy, go get him.
That's the entire draft process as it stands. I mean, look at how many guys. Look at how far like Devontae Adams went later in the draft, and he was the best, clearly the best in that whole class. Stephon Diggs was a 5th round pick. I mean, Brady. We can go back and you can always go.
Yeah, exactly.
You can always you can name you can name hundreds of guys who went later and ended up being excellent picks. But
I don't remember the year, but you ever see the redraft things? Like, okay, if we redrafted 2018, this is what it would look like. Like the one I just saw, Fred Warner would go third, and he was a 3rd round pick. So like the 3rd best player in the draft came from the 3rd round. Like you never know. So if he feels that strongly about him, go get him. If you had him at 104, maybe your scouting department just sucks, Sean. Maybe that's possible too. You don't know what's sitting in front of you. Like, or
they're just hopeful.
Guys don't. Well, hey, when
maybe
your whole
he'll be there.
Building philosophy is Well, when your whole team building philosophy is we don't want you until we've seen you have 6 Pro Bowls and then we'll break the bank for you. Like, sorry, you can't do that in the draft, Sean. That's not how it works. Like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's
nobody knows.
Always a crapshoot, though. Definitely always a crapshoot.
It is. Yep.
All right. Very good. I like the energy. Are you gonna be awake for the next 2 segments now? You just went.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not too.
I just fucking opened up the throttle on that one.
I just hope people actually look at the video so you can see his face laughing. Like, it's just something about it. I just want to punch it. Like he just looks like a clown. He looks like a clown.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be back with the things that sting.
Jones Pest Control, your hometown pest control company servicing residential and commercial properties in Warren and surrounding areas since 2015. Sean and his crew will work tirelessly to keep your home or business free of insects to rodents and everything in between. Contact Jones Pest Control at 814-230-9548 and set up an appointment today. And remember, ants, spiders, bees, or mice, don't think twice. Call Jones Pest Control, 814-230-9548.
Checkout means sales and services with 2 locations on Warren's east side. Their garage at 800 Lexington Avenue not only services cars sold by Means, but has knowledgeable staff and modern state-of-the-art equipment waiting to serve their hometown of Warren. Whatever you need, including alignments, tires, brakes, yearly or enhanced PA inspections, oil changes, and much more. Make your appointment today at 814-723-7191, extension 2.
It's now time for the things that sting. The worst stories in sports, according to Joe.
This edition of the Things That Sting, powered by Jones Pest Control. Ants, spiders, bees, or mice, don't think twice. Call Jones Pest Control at 814-230-9548. It's at my house today, actually.
Nice.
Appointment complete.
Good.
Devin saw two monsters. There was 2 monster spiders roaming around not too long ago, and it was straight panic mode, I mean, we were already on the list. He was coming, but now right. Be careful saying that. Did I tell you about my buddy John Krause? kid I went to college with. He like
No.
I shared something on the podcast page, and he just messages me like a response to it, and he's like, did that really happen? I think it was when Deshaun got traded to the Browns. He messages me and he's like, did that happen? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, I couldn't comment on your post. I can only read it. And I'm like, why? So he got 30 days in Facebook jail because some girl who he knows is on his friends list put up a post like, just saw a huge spider, tried to kill it. It got away from me in my house. Like, fuck. And he wrote, burn the house down. Like, he commented that.
Yeah.
And he got 30 days. 30 days.
Gee.
30 days in the Facebook clink for just, that's all he wrote was burn your house down. And it got flagged somehow. And
those moderators should start reading some of the political comments.
No, they don't.
That's nice.
You know, it depends on which way they go.
Yeah, it's true.
It depends on which way they go. If they agree with it, then it's cool. But I tested the waters today. So far, so good. Because Spro put up a post that he's putting in new carpet, and his wife Peggy said, like, I want to get, where does everybody shop for, rugs and carpet, like trying to get ideas.
Yeah.
And I just put, have Spro kill a bear.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. And
I was kind of waiting to see if anything happens with that, but it hasn't yet.
I'm going to report it as soon as we get off here.
Fuck. I just actually opened the door for a lot of people to do that.
Yes. I offended.
Poor defenseless bears. Logan says, well, I guess Facebook doesn't like the truth because that is the only reasonable response to losing that spider. I agree. I know. I agreed with John. I thought it's pretty wild, but yeah. All right. Enough about bugs. Let's get into the things that sting. We're going to start with our first ever somewhat local. I said local earlier. It's somewhat local though. Conneaut.
Yep.
Crawford County, right next door.
Yeah.
So the Conneaut area senior high school baseball season is terminated after 14 players and the coaching staff were suspended following a trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And according to the school board, the coaching staff is up for termination at the next board meeting. The athletic director already released a statement that they're anxious to get a new regime in. And so I have an insider. I can't.
Okay, I was hoping you did.
I do. I found an insider. Will not ever say his or her name, but I got the scoop. Basically, 14 of the 19 students broke, Conneaut school district policy by sneaking out during this Myrtle Beach trip where they were playing baseball. They were sneaking out and getting boozed up. That's the inside scoop. So I don't know for 100%.
That was going to be.
Yeah, but the coaches, because there was rumors that they were like partaking. I don't believe that to be true. According to my source, the coaches just got in trouble because they were negligent in making sure that didn't happen. But like, I mean, can we talk about a little bit of like a level of fairness here? The coaches, probably. I don't know the extreme details. We weren't there. We don't know. Maybe they were just like, fucking go ahead. I don't know that. I'm not saying they were. I'm not saying they weren't. But let's just devil's advocate. They weren't. They are, hey, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to bed. Like, I'm tired. We had a long day of baseball. Got to get up in the morning. They can't like sleep outside
at 10 or whatever.
Yeah, they can't sleep outside their kids' doors.
Yep.
So I just can't, I don't know. That one I'm a little bit, Hunter says they're high school boys. If they want to get in trouble, they will find a way. Exactly. And that's what there's like, what can, coaches can only do so much, chaperones, whatever, you can't literally sit outside their door all night, and just hope for the best. It's just seems a little bit ridiculous, but there could be more to it. There could, but according to my source, this is what took place. So we'll see, how that plays out.
I think I told you, Conneaut's kind of like that same school has already been in some hot water this year. Like, I think it was the principal maybe got caught taping. Like, he's facing a felony for taping some sort of meeting without consent, like, which, can't record people in PA without getting consent. So he was in trouble for that. And then there was I think it was a secretary was diddling one of the students, 17-year-old student. Yeah. So there's been, from what I understand, Connie, it's in a really, really just messed up spot right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's amplified. This situation is going to make everything worse. So these coaches are going to end up more than likely getting in trouble because the whole school district or school is a shit show this year.
Yeah. They got a clean house.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens. Next story we have Trevor Bauer. I almost said Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why. Trevor Bauer lawsuit and suspension. So this news breaks in 2 consecutive days. It starts with the lawsuit first. He files a lawsuit against his accuser, which he actually goes into great detail of the things that happened on these particular nights. And also I found this out, which this happened quietly enough that I didn't know it, but in sometime in April, early April, I believe it was, he filed lawsuits against Deadspin and The Athletic for knowingly publishing false information. Deadspin responded with, quote, Trevor Bauer's baseless lawsuits against Deadspin and other media organizations are clearly meant to intimidate journalists from reporting about his actions. We are confident that this lawsuit against Deadspin will be seen for the PR stunt that it is. That's a quote from Lynn Oberlander, who is the attorney for Deadspin. Bauer claims that the woman lured him after a rough sexual encounter for a rougher version to later claim it wasn't what she requested. Evidence uncovered at the hearing says that she was motivated by desires to negatively affect his baseball career and reputation. So all sorts of more things happening with that case, multiple lawsuits filed. Obviously he was, I can't remember if it went to, I don't think it went to a grand jury. I think it was just the DA declined to prosecute in what they had previously. So step in the right direction for him. Again, doesn't mean he's innocent. Like with the Deshaun case, it's just not enough there to convince a jury. You need the evidence has to be prevalent. But then what happens a couple days or a day later, the MLB comes down with a 2-season suspension, 324 games. It's the most severe ever for a violation of the domestic assault, sexual assault type policy. It does say in the policy, you do not have to be found guilty or charged or found guilty to be subject to suspension under that policy.
Was he not suspended all of last year too? Was he not?
He was on administrative leave.
Okay. All right.
But paid administrative leave is what he was on previously. So now we're talking.
So now no pay.
This is the actual suspension he got.
Okay. All right.
So
if he's getting paid, then okay.
Interesting. If you look at in comparison to what's happening in the NFL right now, where it seems they take nothing serious, whereas the MLB takes a huge stance against what took place here. 2 seasons that's fucking insane.
Yeah, I'm personally of the belief as far as the NFL, Deshaun Watson's going to end up getting close to a season. I think. I think he's somewhere between 8 games in a season, but man, 2 seasons after now, like I said, he couldn't play last year, but they paid him. So you lose a year of competing, but you at least got paid.
Money's not an issue.
2 seasons seems like I don't know the full details of the case. I'm not looking at the evidence. Maybe Major League Baseball is saying, to them it's clear and obvious that he did something, and you know how the court system works. They just couldn't charge him, so they were going to nail him. But man, 2 seasons, just when I saw that, it just seems like a freaking lot when
It
the
is a
guy
lot.
had no charges pressed against him. Like
Right.
1 season I could get down with. You're blemish on the league. You shouldn't be in this situation, but it's rough. It's a rough thing to do.
I'm wondering if this does anything to the Deshaun handling by the NFL. If it's if the NFL is going to say, we should probably do what they did, something similar to what they did, because otherwise we're going to look like we don't give they already always look like they don't give a fuck about female fans. Like literally all the time they look that way. So is it now time that they reel themselves in on that front and actually do something, correct in the eyes of female fans? Because you look at, the Twitter world and everything, this move by the Browns has lost them fans. I mean, there's legitimate fans of the Browns who are like, fuck them for signing or trading for that asshole. That is that. And that is that's with only accusations. That's without charges being filed on Deshaun. Those were all no billed at a grand jury 3 different times. What does this do to the Deshaun thing is my question. If they're, going to be taking part in any of that. Hunter says in reality it's only 80 to 90 games. Yeah, because he's a pitcher. Like I get that. But that's it's still a long time. It doesn't really
a long time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's only 80, 90 times on the field, sure, but it's still 2 seasons of full baseball that he can't participate in. And not to mention on a team who's set to make, long postseason runs each year. So yeah, pretty wild. But we'll see if there's going to be any type of appeal, or I haven't read on that at all. If he's, I'm sure he plans on appealing it. I'm sure. It'd be wild if he didn't, but especially when he's proclaiming his innocence in lawsuits and multiple other things, he has a point to be made, at least by the way of saying, look, I didn't get charged. A PFA, emergency PFA hearing was tossed. That didn't go through, or restraining order, whatever they call it out there. I can't remember exactly. Hunter says he does plan on appealing it. Yeah, I would imagine. I just didn't read that, but I couldn't imagine he wasn't going to. So we'll follow up with that in a later episode. This one's pretty shitty. The third story, tragedy in women's college sports. This past week, or week and a half, I think one actually it happened a couple weeks ago, but the family and school didn't mention anything until just recently, within the last week. Wisconsin track and cross country runner Sarah Scholes and James Madison softball player Lauren Burnett both tragically took their own lives. The Scholes family released a statement saying this is a quote, Sarah took her own life. The family said balancing athletics, academics, and the demands of everyday life overwhelmed her in a single desperate moment. Like you, we are shocked and grief-stricken while holding on tightly to all that Sarah was. And James Madison's response to the softball player, Lauren Burnett, who took her own life, they actually canceled the rest of their season and in hopes of focusing on finishing up strongly in academics and providing care for all her teammates and college athletes who were affected by this. So this goes back to kind of like a little bit of our NIL talk, where the kids don't have time to do anything but sports in school. And with the emergence of social media and all the stuff that happens online, the demands are even higher now, because any girl on James Madison softball team can go on their Facebook page and look at the comments that are happening, and everybody has to put every opinion, whether it be, right, wrong, or indifferent. And I'm not saying that it was anything online. I don't know that, but it's just added pressure that these student athletes go through. And it's just, I hope that something gives to where they focus more on, giving these girls a mental timeout from getting up at 5 a.m. and lifting, and not just the girl or the women's sports, but the men's sports as well. Like, giving them that time to to kind of reel themselves in or have a little self-care, whatever it may be, whatever they do to ease their minds of things. So I don't know. Do you think that that's something that we could see moving forward, is maybe less time in the structure of
I mean, I feel like something's got to happen, because it just seems like this issue is becoming more and more prevalent, as time passes here. And again, I think it, nail on the head with the social media and the pressure of, you're a click away from seeing what every idiot in the world has to say about you.
Right.
There's got to be something that, there's got to be something that changes here. And I don't know what the answer is, but, it's sad that's too young for anyone to be doing anything like that.
I think I can't remember in what order, but I think 20 and 21 years old is how old one was 20, one was 21, I think was what I read. But either way, yeah, I mean, still way too young, especially with the pressure that they're under, at a Division I level specifically. Yep. I mean, I remember just being friends with student athletes at Edinboro and the demand of their schedule. Imagine the programs where they have every sport has their own facility where they are required to spend so much time at. And so it'll be, again, like you though, I don't have what is the answer? I don't know the answer. But there's a lot of people making a lot of money in an organization called the NCAA, and they better fucking figure something out before this spirals completely out of control. Because like you said, we're bringing this up on this segment far too often, that this type of thing happening. Like this is a story I never want to have to put into this segment, but to shine a little bit more light on it and recognize the issue that's happening, I think we have to. Hunter in the comments said kids should get days off like you do at work. That doesn't count against them. Everyone needs a mental health day. I totally agree with that. Everybody gets burnout from what they're doing, whether it doesn't matter what it is. If you're working long days, long hours, you're going to get burnt. Everybody goes through that in every profession. It's just a matter of how they reel themselves in and handle it is the difference. And unfortunately for some people, it means what took place with these two young ladies. So again, hopefully we see less of that and maybe some type of really positive response from the NCAA where they, put something down to try and curb all of this. Last one in things that sting before the rundown. Sage Steele. I actually really enjoyed reading this article. Sage Steele is suing ESPN for essentially, she's saying that she was restricted from free speech while she was on a podcast. They sidelining her last year following critical comments she made on Jay Cutler's podcast. Steele claims that ESPN pulled her from her usual hosting roles after she criticized the company's vaccine requirement and forced her to issue an apology under threat of losing her job. Basically, what was said on the podcast was that she called the mandate sick and scary to her in many ways. She got the shot because she said on the podcast she had until September 30th to get it, or she was going to be fired by ESPN. So the quote from her attorney, Brian Friedman, says ESPN violated her free speech rights, retaliated against her, reprimanded her, scapegoated her, allowed the media and her peers to excoriate. Did I say that word right?
I have no idea. I'd have to be looking at it.
I didn't type it. I copied and pasted it. New method of note taking.
Yeah.
It's working out well. I should probably read the shit, huh? And forced her to apologize simply because her personal opinions did not align with Disney's corporate philosophy of the moment. So that's a statement from her attorney, Brian Friedman. Executives told her that she would be taking a break, quote, taking a break on October 4th, 4 days after her episode aired. Steele also touched on political and social topics during her appearance on the podcast and made a comment about former President Barack Obama's decision to identify as Black and not biracial. This actually got to a point where Ryan Clark refused to work a noon edition of SportsCenter with her unless she was replaced. ESPN declined Clark's request. Clark no-showed to the airing of SportsCenter and had no repercussions for doing so. So that was also named in her lawsuit that, peers were upset with her about her comments to the point where they literally didn't show up for work and didn't get in any fucking trouble at all. Meanwhile, she gets sidelined because she didn't agree with their shot policy, essentially. So that'll be another fun one to watch. There's a lot of opinions about that, depending on where you read it, of course. But I'm anxious to see how that goes because she's still employed, still working there. Her contract doesn't expire for quite some time from what I read. So we'll see how that goes. Hunter is in the comments still talking about the mental health thing, going back to the mental health thing. Yeah, several as of late, that's becoming something that we see more of. And actually, I think we talked about that last week where it seems to be happening in the NBA more than any other sport, which is interesting. Yep. In and of itself. So, all right, the rundown. We got 6 stories, I believe. So let's get the rundown tunes going. Starting with former Georgia Bulldog linebacker Adam Anderson has been indicted by a grand jury for rape of a 21-year-old female. Once considered first-round talent, his arraignment is now scheduled for June 13th. And a second accuser for the same type of crime has come forward. No charges have yet to be filed on that. So it sounds like that guy is up shit creek without a paddle, especially a second accuser going forward. And rightfully so. If he did what is being accused, he should never see the light of day again. Bethany College water cooler scandal. So this happened, I think, the night of our last show. It happened later at night. So this is pretty crazy. They were Kansas Wesleyan University is visiting Bethany College for a doubleheader. When water wasn't tasting right, they opened the lid and find a foreign substance in the water cooler, believed at the time to be paint thinner, found to be line and base touch-up paint. So when the white paint that they're using to touch up the lines, the bases are scuffed, they touch that up. That's what was in the water cooler. However, 60 interviews have been done, evidence collected. 2 juveniles have been identified as being involved in this water cooler scandal. They have ties to neither team. So they were at the field doing what? I don't know. Excuse me again. So 2 juveniles, no charges filed yet. Looks like that's coming down the pipe, though. A little juvenile allegation for, I don't know what they're going to charge them with. That'll be interesting to see that, too. Like fucking poisoning someone.
Yeah, I would guess. But didn't, was it Wesleyan, whatever team had the stuff in their drink?
Yeah,
Did they beat them like 30-something to nothing?
33-2. So whatever was in that water, it worked. That'll be on the.
We're firing the team up.
That'll be MLB's new banned substance in fucking water here before too long.
Yeah.
PED paint, white line paint. Can't use that shit anymore. Third one, we got former Chiefs and new Bears wide receiver Byron Pringle charged with reckless driving and driving with a suspended license after he's observed by police doing donuts in his Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. Once pulled over, they found that he had a child in the backseat of the car. Once he was advised that he was being charged, he ignored commands, became confrontational, but was eventually apprehended without any issue. So, well done, Byron Pringle, having a kid in your car and whipping donuts. Fucking brilliant. this is a crazy one. DeAndre Holmes Wilfork. So this is Vince Wilfork's kid. Pleads guilty to stealing $400,000 worth of jewelry from Vince, including 2 Super Bowl rings and 2 AFC Championship rings. Charged with felony theft, pleads guilty to felony theft. 5 years of probation is the sentence. Vince initially thought he might have misplaced the items. However, police discovered them being sold by a memorabilia group. The son sold the rings to the memorabilia group for $62,000. He's a former Houston Cougar who was arrested in 2016 for drug possession. Also, in that same arrest, was charged with stealing $4,600 worth of jewelry from Vince Wilfork. So it's the second time he's done it. He was obviously dismissed from the Cougars in 2016 for that incident. But that's wild. Stealing. And Vince Wilfork, if Vince Wilfork's my dad, I ain't fucking touching anything that belongs to him.
No chance. No thank you.
He's a giant.
Yeah, I'm not getting fucked up. Nope.
He showed up to training camp in overalls, a cowboy hat, no shirt, overalls, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat. He's insane. Yep. He's absolutely insane. North Charleston, he is huge. North Charleston shootout. I shared the video of this on the Facebook page. So Little Leaguers, fans, coaches, in the middle of a game, multiple, couldn't even count how many shots ringing out in the background. Everybody's hitting the ground, army crawling to dugouts, taking cover. Horrible scene. Absolutely horrible scene. And it broke, obviously, the following day that one coach had previously lobbied with the league to not schedule games at that field because of increased violence in the area. So just horrible. I hope all those kids are okay and not, too, fucked up about what took place there, because that's a traumatic situation, especially for kids. When you try to explain that, what was happening around them, that's not good. Last but not least, the news that broke today, DeAndre Hopkins, 6 games for PEDs. I love to hate the Cardinals.
Not even appealing it.
Not appealing it?
Not even appealing.
No, withdrew his appeal, said, I'm biting the bullet, taking the heat, did what he did.
Per sources, 3 separate types of anabolic steroids and a low-grade beaver tranquilizer.
Nah.
That's swear to God.
No,
my buddy just said it to me while we were on air.
Is it an actual article or is it a quote from Dodgeball?
No. I don't know. It could be a quote from Dodgeball.
I'm pretty sure that's a quote from Dodgeball.
It's got to be a quote from It's
when they beat the.
I was on air and I got it. Yeah. All right.
When they beat
literally just said it to
the
me
Girl
like
Scout
15
troop
minutes ago. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
God damn it, Bernice.
Yeah, this is why you can't get live news on air.
Good shit. All right. That's it. That's it for the Things That Sting. So we're going to take a quick break. Things That Sting is brought to you by Jones Pest Control. Ants, spiders, bees, or mice, don't think twice. Call Jones Pest Control at 814-230-9548. We get back with My Hive. We're going to be doing the love-hate for the draft. 5 each. Going to be good shit. Stick around. Blue Line Auto, located at 1606 Pennsylvania Avenue East in Warren, is locally owned and operated and is a family-run business specializing in vehicle sales and service. They offer state and safety inspections and general car repairs, including but not limited to brakes and rotors, tires, oil changes, batteries, starters, and alternators. They also offer vehicle undercoating prior to winter to help keep your vehicle protected. Currently, their hours are Monday through Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Thursday and Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call them today to schedule your next appointment at 814-230-9061. Your safety is their goal.
Hi, this is Ryan Klein, the host of the new pop culture podcast, Me, Myself, and Rye. You can find me on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and several other platforms. Special guests, breakaway shows, bonus episodes, cold beers, and a whole lot more. So what are you guys and gals waiting for? Subscribe now to the Me, Myself, and Rye podcast on Spotify or wherever it is that you get your shows and start listening today.
My Hive.
Joe and Sketty's very own world of sports.
My Hive is presented by Blue Line Auto. For all your automotive needs, call Blue Line Auto 814-230-9061 or stop in at 1606 Pennsylvania Avenue East in Warren. The NFL draft. So we did obviously touched on some things earlier, but without getting into great detail, we saved all that for right now. So we're going to go love-hate. 5 teams each. Sketty, we'll start with you. We're going to count down, right? Is that our idea?
Yep. Count down
count down from 5. So you're going to go 5, your 5 love and hate, and then I'll do my 5 love and hate, and we'll, proceed from there. All comments are welcome. I want to hear people's opinions on this stuff.
I'm just giving you number 5, right?
Yep.
Of each.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, my first one, this is really tough. We'll start with love. I had a really tough time picking who I wanted here because I thought the Kansas City Chiefs had a really great draft. But number 5 on my list is the New York Giants. One thing I believe in the draft is you got to get there, just in the NFL in general. You have to be able to protect your quarterback, and on defense, you have to be able to get after the quarterback. You can do those 2 things, you're going to have an okay time. Your team's going to be tough. The Giants, I think, hit a home run. I think they got Thibodeau, who might be the best pass rusher in the class. They got Evan Neal, who might be the best left tackle in the class. To me, that was just a home run, but pretty easy when you have picks 5 and 7. And then you go down the board from there. Wandel Robinson, receiver out of Kentucky. They got a guard later on, corner, tight end, safety, linebacker, defensive tackle. They were just kind of all over the place. Feel like they filled a bunch of needs as a team who needed a bunch of needs filled. I thought it was a pretty balanced deal, and I think it was a good first draft for Dable and company. Dable and Shane, I guess I should say. But yeah, I really like what they did. I think they're big winners here. As far as my hate, let me scroll to where they're at so I can break it down. Darren will love me for this, but Indianapolis Colts were number 5 on my hate list. I really think they're a team that's like on the cusp of contending, and they just did nothing in this draft. They picked a receiver, receiver and a tight end. I actually like the offensive tackle they took, Bernard Raymond. I think he's going to be a nice player, but you got Matt Ryan at quarterback. I just don't think they did anything here to get him any kind of weapons to push him over the edge in a division where they should be competing now. The AFC South is bad. The Titans are kind of okay, I guess, but you're better than the Jags. You're better than the Texans. You got to do something a little bit better than this. I will say they didn't pick until 53. So, and they were probably the one team I think I have on my hate list that didn't have a first round pick. Maybe 2 teams that didn't have a first round pick. So there wasn't much they could do, but I just don't like what they did. It did nothing for me. I don't think they got better, and I just not impressed with it.
All right, so we'll start with my love, and this is an unpopular one based off of everybody on the continent's draft grades. This is super unpopular, but I liked what the Titans did. I think they sat back for a quarterback. They got Treylon Burks, who was a high-graded receiver. Mm-hmm. Obviously they unload Brown, so they're looking to get somebody who's going to obviously not plug in and be as effective as him right away. But they're not a real pass-heavy team to begin with. That being said, I think that you have Tannehill being there is good, but not great, and Malik Willis, your long-term plan, is I think the idea there. And again, where they got him, they stayed patient just like every other team in the league who was after a quarterback, sat back and waited, and they end up getting the guy who was listed in most places as the number 1 quarterback talent, coming into the draft. Another one they got, Roger McCreary, the corner that they took, with first round status in a lot of places, and they snagged him. So I just think it was a solid little draft quietly. Everybody else hated it from what I was reading, which was fine. That's just my opinion on it. But I thought the Titans had a nice little draft, so I was happy with that. Number 5, my hate. this is literally only because of one pick. I took the Steelers at number 5. Hated the Kenny Pickett reach. And as the draft went on and all these quarterbacks fell as far as they did into the 3rd, that pick looked less and less good. I understand that he was the most NFL ready according to scouts, but he still wasn't but 3, 4, or 5 in most top 10s of the quarterbacks coming into this draft. Again, I see I think a lot of people are just falling in love with the whole Pitt to the Steelers connection. He's familiar with the building. He's familiar with the field. He's been in the facility numerous times. I think a lot of people are making a little bit more of a thing than what that actually could equate to coming into the NFL. Cool. He knows where the fucking bathroom is, but is he going to be able to, is he going to be able to throw 42 touchdowns like he did, in his senior season, which if you look statistically was by far his best year. They weren't, his other seasons were not even remotely close to what he did this past year in what I would consider a pretty weak conference. But yeah, I just don't love the Kenny Pickett reach. I think they could have waited and probably got him a little bit later. One pick they did do in the 6th round that I thought was interesting is they grabbed Connor Hayward, the tight end / halfback for which would be Cameron's brother. Go ahead.
They love having fullbacks on the team that are brothers of their good defenders. So like
they have 4. They now have 4 sets of brothers on that team.
Why have 2 fullbacks? I don't understand it. Like maybe that apparently they're going to try and move him to tight end, but yeah,
I would assume that but with Freiermuth, I mean, they definitely do. So, but yeah, the Kenny Pickett pick. I hate saying that because it just sounds fucking weird. Kenny Pickett pick.
Yeah, Pickett.
Pickens, on the other hand, that was another one that I thought that they, that was a good pick, and I loved that Chase Claypool announces George
his
Pickens.
Replacement.
And that's what you said. I'm texting you, and you're like, "Dumb fuck," just announced his replacement. Which, if he keeps acting like a douche, it's likely. But so didn't love that one. Go ahead with your number 4s.
Okay, number 4 actually, shockingly enough for me, was the Tennessee Titans. I really liked what they did. As we talked about when we're doing this, we're just kind of grading the weekend as a whole. You got out of A.J. Brown's contract, which from what I understand, they offered him about $16 million a year, up to 20. He didn't like the money, so you move on, which, I'm fine with you. If the Niners were going to trade Deebo Samuel, I wanted them to get Treylon Burks. Like that's the guy I said he can step in, he can play. So they picked him. I thought that was really good. McCreary, I liked a lot. This offensive tackle out of Ohio State, Petit Frere. I'm not even gonna pretend I can pronounce it, but they say he's kind of the heir apparent to Taylor Lewan. So I think it's pretty good. And then you look at it, and they got Malik Willis too. This is great for them. Tannehill can play out a year or 2 on his contract. Gives Willis a little time to develop. You need a quarterback in this new AFC with all the young guns over there.
Yeah,
they went and got that. I mean, I think this is a team that, losing Brown hurts a little bit, but maybe Burks can step in and fill some of that role. Derrick Henry's the workhorse there anyway, and you've built for when, Henry's washed up and gone and Tannehill's on his way out. You got new guys to step in, so, they're okay for what they did right now, and they kind of built towards the future. So I actually really liked what they did.
Well, I'm glad that you had them on your list because I just want to say for the record that we did not share our picks with each other because we want the natural reaction from it. So I had no idea he was picking Tennessee like I did. I even put unpopular next to their name on my list here because everywhere I looked, people were giving them like terrible grades. But I just it was a lot of stuff that made sense to me, and I think they got good value in McCreary later on. Or later than he was projected in a lot of places. So go ahead with your number 4 hate.
I really liked it. Number 4 hate, which I hope Ron doesn't shoot me out there if he's in the comments, but I have the Green Bay Packers. Do not like what the Packers did. And And it's not because they didn't take a receiver in the first round. That's not my feeling. That where they picked at, the players they picked were fine. Just in my eyes, this is a team that's in win now mode. And I don't think that, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Christian Watson, I don't think they're putting you over the hump this year. You have a small window with Aaron Rodgers. In my eyes, they probably should have took those 2 first-round picks and tried to move up, get one of these top-level receivers to give Rodgers a go-to guy this year. Helping the defense helping the defense would be great, but do we know that these rookies are going to come in and help this defense? You don't. So purely just on the sense that this is a win now team, and I feel like they made picks for the future, which will be fine, but you're still going to have to replace Rodgers at some point, or these picks are no good. I just don't think it. I don't think it's going to help them get over the hump right now. So they made the hate list.
Okay, my number 4s. So number 4, I have the Eagles coming in. Jordan Davis, the A.J. Brown trade made sense for what they're trying to do there. They had the money to put into the contract like we talked about. So I think that trade ended up being a win for both teams. The Titans got out of the deal. The Eagles were ready to spend. They did what 6-7 other teams have done this year, is dump a big contract to a receiver. So, and like we said, Nakobe Dean, late, what'd they get? 4th round?
Yeah.
4th,
third
4th,
or 4th.
5th.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember.
Now, again, he might be out for his status coming into 2022 is questionable, but it's also, it's a rookie deal. He's gonna have 4 other yeers if they pick up the option to play there. So long term, that one could really work out. Okay, so we're on my hate, right? My hate, number 4.
Your hate. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, this is an easy one. The Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson had asked for one thing for how many years in a row, and it was like, get me some fucking protection up front. And they get rid of Wilson and then draft offensive linemen with their 1st and 3rd picks. So it's just a giant slap in the face to Russell Wilson. Now they got nice cozy offensive line for who? Fucking
Drew Lock. But I've heard that this, like, the way they drafted is kind of indications that they're going to go after Baker. Well, but I've also heard they love Lock, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I think you're going to see a competition.
Yeah, this is your first one I really disagree with. I don't think that now, obviously, I'm not going to have Seattle on my top list, but I thought Seattle did okay for what was out there. Other than the Kenneth Walker pick, I thought was really mind-boggling to me. Like, you already have Chris Carson and Rashad Penny played really well at the end of last year. Like, that seemed like kind of a reach where they got him. That was early. I don't remember. 2nd round, maybe they took him, 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, I think 2nd.
It seemed like a reach.
Yeah, I don't. I just thought the offensive line thing was like you had the quarterback who literally put you on the fucking map again. Asked for those things for however long, and they just it almost seemed like it was like a Green Bay situation where Rodgers wants a receiver in the 1st and they just never do it. Wilson, which wanted offensive lineman, and they never did it. And then it's the minute he's out the door, they're like, "Hey, you know what? I got an idea."
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and take some offensive linemen. So yeah, it just seemed ridiculous to me. But those are my number 4s.
Okay. Number 3, I have the Baltimore Ravens. I think they had an excellent draft. You got Kyle Hamilton at 14 overall when he was, projected to be anywhere from 3 to 10. I feel like that's a steal. That's just a great pick for them. They traded back up and got Tyler Linderbaum, who I think is a stud in the middle. 2nd round, they were able to get David Ojabo, who was a top 10 talent until he tore his Achilles or I don't know if he tore it, but had an Achilles injury at his pro day. So you got a top 10 talent in the 2nd round, and then got another defensive stud in Travis Jones, defensive tackle. I mean, I just think it was a really solid draft for the Ravens, who, they're in a tough division, but they had a bunch of injuries this year. Like, I think these are moves that, with the exception of Jabo, he might be out this year. I don't know the extent of that, but they're set up for the future. They always draft well. I feel that they had a strong draft. Number 3 on my hate list. Let me go here. The Arizona Cardinals did not like what they did this weekend. Traded the first round pick for Hollywood Brown, which I know you hated way more than I did. I don't know that he's worth the first round pick, but I think getting out of Baltimore is the best thing for him. Everything I've read said he wanted out of Baltimore as early as last year. So you traded a first rounder pick for him, which with the news of the Hopkins suspension makes a little bit more sense today. But then you draft the top tight end in Trey McBride, which you just got Zach Ertz last year. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is aware that he can only have 5 position players on the field at a time. He's like, fuck it, let me just load up. And then they took a couple ends and a running back, and it just did nothing for me to impress me. I just think they kind of blew it.
All right. I'm on my number 3s, right?
You're on your number 3s, yeah.
I have the Giants at number 3, Thibodeau and Neal. I mean, you kind of covered everything with them. Just solid picks, and like we discussed earlier, taking Thibodeau at 5 made a whole bunch of sense when they knew they could get a stud lineman at 7 with only one team. They had 5 and 7, so only one team picking between them. So it was a smart move on Dable and Joe Schoen's part. But yeah, so they're building, and it's going to be real interesting to see what happens with quarterback there. Not picking up Jones's 5th year made everybody kind of think maybe they were going to, look at quarterback, including us. I mean, we talked about that last week.
Yep.
But overall, good draft. And I have the Giants are a team that I have no hate for or anything, and plus with Dable there now, I'm probably going to kind of hope they do well, because it'd be nice to see.
Yeah.
We always hear about offshoots of New England going places and sometimes succeeding, sometimes shitting the bed. It'd be nice to see if Buffalo's current regime was just producing enough, great coaches that they're going other places and succeeding. It's not anything that's going to hurt my feelings. Number 3, hate, the Bears. Kyler Gordon and Brisker, obviously great picks. They're both really, really good football players. But you're trying to develop a young quarterback, and one who had some real fucking shitty looking moments last year. These 2 guys aren't going to help that. And I think that was something that, in my opinion, they should have been targeting in this draft, was looking for ways to progress Justin Fields quicker, not, the opposite. So I just thought that, and especially with Pringle, we talked about him.
Yes, and now being in trouble. Yep.
Right. And Pringle's in trouble, and they knew that going into the draft. So it's I don't know what's going to end up happening with him, but you would assume some sort of suspension. This isn't one that a lawyer can typically get you out of. If you're driving suspended, it's usually, you don't have I'm here, you're there, you're suspended. You can't do that. So it's the proving that, I guess, is my point, is not the most difficult task in the world. So yeah, I just thought that the Bears really avoided helping their young quarterback. So we'll see how that, pans out, of course. So on to your number 2s.
Number 2, I actually have the New York Jets, which they were in the running for the number 1 spot on my list. But I mean, the Jets will probably fuck this up somehow. But man, Sauce Gardner, stud. Garrett Wilson should be a stud. You got Jermaine Johnson, who people were thinking was going number 10 overall at 26. You got the best running back in the class in Breece Hall at the beginning of the 2nd round. And then you fill a little bit of a need with taking a tight end at 101. And then you got, offensive tackle a little bit later on, defensive end later on. I just think they hit a home run, and I'm really rooting same like you're saying for the Giants. Like, I don't care about the Jets, but I like Robert Saleh, and I want to see him succeed. And I think they just absolutely loaded up on some talent. Hopefully they can make it work out with Zach Wilson there. But I absolutely think they did an excellent job getting value at every one of their picks. So yeah, they're number 2 on my list. Number 2 on my hate list, and this one might be a little controversial, but the Jacksonville Jaguars did not like what they did with their draft. Travon Walker at 1, I just think is a gamble. You know, none of these guys have played it down yet, so could be completely wrong about this, but you better hope that he's better than Thibodeau, Hutchinson, Johnson, maybe even. You know, you didn't get any help protecting Trevor Lawrence, which seemed to be a problem last year. You know, I like going after the edge, but I just don't know if this was the guy. Devin Lloyd at 27 is an okay pick. You know, they took Fortner, the center out of Kentucky, at 65, and then this Muma linebacker guy out of Wyoming. You know, maybe it pans out, but I just don't love with what the capital they had. I just don't think they did a very good job with it. And it starts with that number 1 pick and being the big question mark there. I just didn't love that.
All right. On to my number 2s, correct? Is that where we're?
Yep.
I keep asking you. I don't know why I can't figure this out. So I got the Ravens at number 2 because obviously Kyle Hamilton, great pick. He fell right into their lap. And then they commit what I would consider to be felony robbery on the Arizona Cardinals, and they come in and they take Tyler Linderbaum. I told you, I think I texted to you or something, the Arizona should have called the police after they agreed to that trade because they got straight fucking hosed out of a first-round pick. I understand Marquise Brown was taken in the first round. He was a first-round draft pick.
Yep.
But and maybe he goes somewhere where there's not Lamar throwing you the ball, and he explodes. It's possible, but it just doesn't seem very likely to me. And
seems like they overpaid. Yeah,
way overpaid. Yep, that's just my thought on that trade. I just hated it. And then of course, like I said, like you said, Ajabo. Achilles at his pro day, which is completely fucking unfortunate. It was like the last play too. Like stupid. That sucks. That really, really sucks. But great talent. Yeah, sure. He's going to probably sit out a year, maybe just like Dean, but a guy who you have in your back pocket for next season, you know, that's a big pick. So I like them at the second most loved draft belongs to the Ravens. Second most hated. And I know we discussed not questioning what Belichick does, but Cole Strange, basically everywhere you look, is being called a reach. Belichick was convinced he wasn't going to be there much longer, so that's why he went up and grabbed him. Bailey Zappi, 4th round quarterback. Why?
Yeah, I saw that one look pretty bad, but
that just seems extremely odd considering you think Mac Jones is your guy and you're drafting a backup.
I don't know if you're thinking
drafting a backup doesn't seem like that's not a normal thing to do.
No, that seemed a little early for me. You know, like the Niners did it with Mr. Irrelevant. Their last pick in the draft took a guy that might just be a backup, but yeah, 4th round. You probably got other needs there. You know, there's something else you could have addressed, I feel, but
I would think so. And then Thornton, who was not the best receiver on the board at the time he was taken. You had Pickens, Pierce, and Sky Moore were still available. And they take Thornton. It was just a very questionable draft. A lot of people heads were turning on some of Belichick's picks. In fact, I saw one thing that they thought maybe Nike the dog was like running around on the laptop and submitting picks that he wasn't supposed to. I don't know. But just like different – stupid takes about it, but yeah. So that's my number 2s.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just touch on this Patriots thing because I debated putting them on my list, but you know, I Belichick. I know he hasn't drafted well the last few years, but I always got to give the guy a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, and wait till it plays out before I hate on it.
Fair.
So for my most loved draft weekend was actually the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they absolutely stole the weekend. A.J. Brown, now they have the money to pay him. And I actually think had a smoking deal with him. What, $57 million guaranteed over 4 years?
4 years, $100 million, 57 guaranteed. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, the guaranteed money's low. If he plays and is actually healthy, the guy's a freaking stud. This is an Eagles team they're competing to win the division right now. The Commanders aren't doing anything. The Giants are young, maybe on the upkeep, and you only got to take the Cowboys out. But you got Jordan Davis, who's going to plug up some running lanes, hopefully, for that defense, which they needed help with. You got Cam Jurgens, the center, who's going to replace Kelsey at some point in time, gives you that inside help. And then again, Nakobe Dean just makes no sense to me. Even if the guy sits a year, he's still a stud. He's a hell of a football player. You got him in the 3rd round. Like, the thing I don't think enough people are talking about is this guy was talked about as the number 17 overall prospect or something like that. How do you think he's feeling when he's sitting there till the 3rd round? Like, he is going to be motivated. I think that's going to end up being the steal of the draft. I think they hit a home run. It's all in Jalen Hurts' hands now. They've addressed what they needed to address. If Jalen Hurts can be okay, they're going to be a tough team.
Adding to that real quick before you go to your number one hated, it goes in comparison to what I said about the Browns. They're trying to develop Jalen Hurts into a proficient starter, and they put people in position to help him. They went and got a great receiver, and that's what I mean. As far as the Bears, it's like that's what they didn't do, and that's what turned me off from whatever they are trying to figure out down there.
Yeah, makes total sense.
So number one hated, who you got?
It's another Pennsylvania team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought once again had the trashiest ass draft for what their team is. Now I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett's a bad player or George Pickens is a bad player. I actually like the DeMarvin Leal pick. Defensive tackle they took in the 3rd, I believe. But man, you take Kenny Pickett in the 1st, the next quarterback doesn't go for 54 more picks. Like, you better hope that Kenny Pickett's a stud. And I don't know that he's that much better than Mitch Trubisky. I really don't. I think Trubisky's still going to start this year. In my mind, you got a guy in Trubisky who's taken a good defense to the playoffs before with a just absolute garbage coach. Give the guy a chance. Don't shoot your load on Pickett here. You take George Pickens in the 2nd. Why? You have Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. What did you need? That's a luxury pick. This is for a team that's, in the thick of things. That's what you would do, is take a receiver. Let's get ourselves over the top. That's not you, Pittsburgh. It ain't you. You are the bottom feeder in your division right now. Whether you like to hear it or not, you are the worst team in your division. Build that line, build that defense, start making moves for the future, not what's going to be cool right now, because no matter if it's Trubisky or Pickett, they're going to be running for their fucking lives back there behind your dog shit line. You wasted a 1st round pick on a running back, last year. You would assume, okay, hey, we're going to run the football. Nah, fuck it. We're going to take a receiver. Then, okay, we took one defensive lineman, so let's take another receiver in Calvin Austin. Fuck it. We're on the Cliff Kingsbury plan. Let's just throw out there 80 position players. What are you doing? You take a fullback in the next round. You did take one linebacker and then finish it up with Chris Oladikan. I don't know, some quarterback from San Diego State. So now you took 2 quarterbacks in this draft.
They took another quarterback?
They took another quarterback at 241.
I didn't even see that.
South Dakota State, yes. I'm sorry. I know everyone's going to say, oh, George Pickens is a fine player. Kenny Pickett is a fine player. I like DeMarvin Leal. None of these guys are going to help you do shit. You are going to be the worst team in your division this year, next year, and probably the year after that. Wake up, Pittsburgh. The run is over. I feel like the GM was just fuck it. I'm not going to be here next year. Let's take Kenny Pickett. I'm not letting Dan Marino get by me again. What the fuck? I just thought it was terrible. I really like it. Is Pittsburgh's on a team that you could be there. You are on the cusp. You have Mitch. You could make this thing work if you get some defensive players. And they're just nope, let's screw it. Let's just go all offense. Who cares? Yeah. And Kenny Pickett was considered the 4th best quarterback in this draft. Now, again, You don't know. Maybe they did land the next Ben Roethlisberger. But I'm telling you, short of Kenny Pickett being an above-average starter for the next 10 years, this draft was a complete loss for the Steelers. I think they picked it up big time.
I agree it was a loss, but I think more not on the fact that they went offense, because I think they did a nice job addressing their defense and free agency. They picked up a good corner in Levi Wallace, and I'll continue to say until he proves me wrong that Miles Jack is going to be one of the steals of free agency that Pittsburgh got.
It's possible. Yeah.
I love Miles Jack in Pittsburgh. I hate Miles Jack in Pittsburgh, but you know what I'm saying. If there's a place that a guy like him can blossom, that's where it's going to fucking be, because they just breed linebackers and edge rushers down there like they're, like it's no problem. So I don't hate that they went offense in the draft. I hate that they didn't go offensive line.
I mean, it's.
And I hate the Kenny Pickett pick. I mean, I said that earlier, that I just think that's a huge reach. And the fact that they did drafted another one in the 7th, which I didn't even see that. Why? What the fuck is that?
That's what I'm saying. You just went receiver. Yeah, I don't get it. Again, all these players are fine players. I'm sure Pickens is going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think Pickett might be an okay starter. Like, I don't think he's going to blow anyone's mind. Like, but just to me, like, you could have dressed underneath. Like, I would have let Trubisky go for a year, see what the guy's got. This quarterback class isn't strong. If he blows, you'll be at the top of the draft next year and can do something. Like, I just think they committed for no reason and did nothing to make the future of the team better. I just don't understand. Unless they thought they were going to lose, Johnson's kind of coming up on his deal. Unless they're planning on losing him, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, it baffled me. Maybe it works out, but just right now on paper, I can't get down with it.
I'd just be shocked if at this point somebody would dump a bunch of money into Deontay Johnson. But with that said, the way people are spending on receivers right now, Christian Kirk. So prime example. Yeah. All right, so we'll go to my love, and I think it's funny because Hunter's in the comments and he put up, going to catch shit for this, and this was before we got to it, but also love the Jets draft. They drafted a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, and we all know Saleh is a defensive guru. So it's funny because we have them 1-2. I don't know who was going to give you shit for that, Hunter. That's like about the safest take. The safest take you can make coming away from this draft is that the Jets did a phenomenal job. Sauce, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson. I don't need to name them all. Sketty already did in his. Breece Hall later on, a great, they put a lot of really good young players around Zach Wilson. So that's what, to me, it's going to come down to now. I could foresee the Jets obviously still being at the basement of that division this year, but because it'd be mind blowing to me if those guys all just came in and they just meshed and tore it up. I mean, fucking seen crazier things. Just really unlikely. Very tough division. So like I said, I think that they're probably about a year or two out. But once these guys get some chemistry going, and again, it comes down to what Zach Wilson's development looks like. If he starts playing some good football, they can be an effective team. And if he continues to grow as the years progress, the Jets could be, right in that mix with the AFC East, and that division's tide could be completely turned to where it's not the Bills and everybody else currently. It's, a lot tighter knit and could be.
I didn't see the exact what the year range on this was, but it's like since they've been grading the draft in this way, no team has ever had a better draft than the New York Jets using whatever stupid point system.
Right.
I can't remember even the site is. It was the highest graded.
Didn't hurt. They had a fucking truckload of picks too early.
Well, 4, 10. You trade back up into the first to get Johnson, I think, or did they have that? They had that pick.
I can't remember if they came back in or not, but either way, I mean, it's tough to.
It felt,
but they did take good players at appropriate times, and that's what it seemed like. So, Jets get my number one. Number one most hated, obviously Arizona. They left the first round for Marquise Brown in a wide receiver heavy draft. They left for a guy who I can't convince myself to say is proven. I heard a really good bit on him today from Steve Smith, former loudmouth wide receiver from Carolina, who everybody loves because of his loudmouth.
Yep.
Either loves him or hates him, it seems. But Smith said that the only way he is ever effective is in motion, and if he's manned up, he can't get off the line of scrimmage. And Smith was like, I mean, he used his own words and phrases, but basically was like, that dude can't do anything if somebody's standing in front of him. He's completely ineffective. So how Kingsbury uses him, who the hell knows? You know, maybe he's going to put him in motion every play. I don't know. But either way, I just think that moving out of the first round with the wide receivers available, it just is mind-blowing to me that they chose that route. And again, like I said about the Ravens, just made out like bandits. Just went into Arizona's house, took what they wanted, and left. And they left Marquise Brown. They took whatever they wanted, left Marquise Brown, and moved on. And like you said, the Trey McBride, great tight end, but you just re-signed Zach Ertz for 3 years.
Yep.
Like what's your plan there? You know, this kid's going to be damn near out of his rookie deal. I mean, of course, unless you move on from Ertz, but let's say Ertz stays there for the life of his contract.
And Ertz was pretty good when he was there.
Ertz isn't bad.
He did well after he got there.
Yeah. So yeah, it just seemed odd. And like you said, it's like, what kind of sets does Kingsbury plan on running?
Yeah. Like I don't see Kingsbury. I guess I don't watch a ton of Cardinals games, but he doesn't seem like he's lining up in 2 tight end sets very often.
No.
With the plethora of receivers that they have there. Like,
right.
It just doesn't. Having rotational guys is great, but like,
but that's more. You can only
have so much talent. You know,
that's not a huge like thing in the realm of offense, though. That's more of like a defensive line.
Exactly.
Like, we have guys coming in and out, staying fresh. In receivers play 5-6 straight plays, and then you'll see him wave a guy on the field. It's not like I don't know. It just seemed like a pretty shitty draft in my opinion. And the whole leaving the first round thing is what cemented it for me, because I just think that was terrible. It was a terrible trade, and I don't know if John Harbaugh has dirt on Cliff Kingsbury, if he knows something. But and again, I mean, I understood the whole, Brown wanted out. I did see that today. I was reading that he wanted out of the Baltimore organization, and I don't blame him. It's not an offense that's built for a wide receiver to thrive.
Did you see the thing where Lamar obviously tweeted the WTF after the trade happened, and the article I read made it sound like Lamar was well aware that Brown wanted out.
It's the social media
as early
show.
As last year.
I mean,
it was early as last year. What they didn't trade Mark Andrews, Lamar. You're going to be fine. Fucking pump the brakes, pal. You're going to be all right. Your number one target's still there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't think Brown was. Yep.
Yeah, he was not worth the first rounder, in my opinion. I mean,
no.
I'm looking in the realm of guys who we're looking at recent trades of wide receivers for first round picks.
If
Devontae, Tyreek, AJ Brown. We're talking, in the past few years, these receivers who are going, these are the top receivers in the league. Marquise Brown's not in that conversation. I wouldn't even put him in the top 10, maybe 20.
Yep.
I just fucking don't know how you're saying that guy's value is worth the same as a guy like a Diggs or Adams, or, I mean, I know some of those guys went for multiple first rounders or whatever it ended up being, but
to me, it also seemed like the Cardinals kind of if I remember, that trade kind of came through after pick, I want to say 16-ish, after the big run on receivers is when that trade went through. So I don't know if the Cardinals had a guy they were targeting that, got picked, and then they said, screw it, we know we can get him. But I just can't believe first round pick was like somebody else was offering close to that much.
Right.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, Hunter says in the comments you could have picked better talent than what they traded that pick for. That's what I mean. Even at that position, I think you could have at that point.
Was it pick 23?
Yes.
I think is what I don't know if you could have got a better receiver after that. Without looking at it.
Well, without knowing too.
Yeah.
Knowing how these guys are going to pan out, but.
Yeah. I mean, I not to defend the trade, but like I think that the big run on receivers had gone. Like those top, whatever it was, receivers started getting picked at 8, and then by like 15,
there was a
most of them were gone.
Huge push for him in the mid round of
the Titans
mid first round.
Because Titans got Burks, I think, with like 16. So like it was a lot of the top talent was off the board. I still don't think he's worth that. Like I think they should have stayed there and done something else, but. I don't. It's the Cardinals, man. Who fucking knows? The crazy thing about this is DeAndre Hopkins got traded for a second round pick 2 years ago.
Yeah,
best receiver in the league at the time, second round pick. What's going on? What is happening the last 2 years?
Yeah, so maybe it's because they Arizona robbed Houston, and then Baltimore robbed Arizona. It's coming full circle.
It's cool. Coming full circle. Yep.
All right. Wait, Hunter, in the comments, I know a guy who has more receiving TDs in one season on the Snakes than Brown had in his career in Baltimore. I do too. I know a couple actually. There's a few.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more than one. Yeah.
All right.
Not a lot of touchdowns to be had there.
That wraps it up. You got anything else to say before we sign off here?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Next week we're going to have Moon on, and he's going to tell us about his draft experience. Ideally, we would have done that. Ideally, we would have done that tonight, but like I said, he was on a plane leaving Cleveland, going I don't know where the hell he's going now, but we're gonna have him on next week to talk about his draft experience in Vegas. He kind of compared some notes with some people who had went to the Nashville draft, and just kind of seeing and his quote to me today. So we'll hear more next week, obviously. But he told me that the draft, as it is scheduled and put together and managed and organized and everything, he believes is becoming 10 times that of what the Pro Bowl is currently, which I don't think that's too difficult to beat, not too bold of a statement.
Yeah.
But of course, back in the day, that was the thing. And
in
time, it's been watered down to fucking nothing. So
I'm interested to see because I know watching it at home was painful because just the amount of shit going on during it and having all these other people come out and announce picks. I remember at one point in time, NFL Network said they were 4 picks behind or something ridiculous. Kansas City was actually on the clock and they were still announcing, whoever Philly's pick, and it was just well, maybe if we didn't have to bring idiots out there to the Kyle Brandt thing. I think I texted you about that. Announcing the Bills pick was just fucking awful.
I thought it was sweet.
As a Bills fan, I'm sure he did. Other than the idiot said the only rookie to win the Super Bowl.
I was wrong. He said the only rookie in the 3rd round.
Oh, is that what? Okay, all right.
Yeah,
well,
so he was
ain't going to trade back in.
He's an insider.
Oh God, I just couldn't. He's screaming. I mean, just all of them. Everyone that did that. The only one that was cool that I liked was the Blue Mountain State guy. I had no idea he was actually a Viking. The Blue Mountain State head coach comes out and gives his spiel, and they actually tried to hustle him off the stage.
Oh, that was the guy who they were yo, read the card.
Yeah.
I saw that. That was funny.
I couldn't figure out where I knew him from, and I was actually talking to Ron, and he's like, I had no idea the BMS coach was a Viking, and I was like, oh shit, that's where I know him from. He is the Blue Mountain State head coach.
Interesting.
But yeah, just too big of a production. Let's cut it back a little bit.
We'll hear all about it next week. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Everybody who was in the comments, we appreciate you keeping the conversation flowing. Thank our sponsors, Swing Juice, Busch Light, your daily local JP Photography, Means Sales and Service, Jones Pest Control, Me, Myself, and Rye podcast, and Blue Line Auto. Thank you all for participating. Until next week, take care. Be safe.